Most songwriters are walking away from 90% of their money because they all believe a common misconception. They've been told that publishing is a passive game, where you write a song, you register it, and you wait for a check. But that lie is why the major labels and publishers are buying houses with your royalties while you're struggling to pay for your next studio session, or maybe even your rent. But today, I'm going to show you how the publishing industry actually works, and more importantly, how to turn a single 3-minute song into a global intellectual property empire. And I'm pulling back the curtain on the engine, the multiple version loophole, and the DIY infrastructure that they hope you never build. So if you ever felt like your music is big enough to matter, but your bank account says otherwise, then this is the missing link. So number one, let's talk about the publishing engine here, because music publishing is simply the act of making a song public for consumption and usage. That's it. And while the law, specifically Title 17 U.S.C. Section 106, gives you a bundle of 6 rights, the publishing industry effectively operates on 5: reproduction, derivative works, public performance, distribution, and public display. But here's the problem. Even though you have the 5 rights, the money really only flows back through 2 pipelines, and that's performance royalties and mechanical royalties. Direct fees from licensing are just the cherry on top. So why is this a problem? Because the music publishing industry cannot put its product into a tangible money-making form without the help of the recorded music industry. Look at how these rights actually play out in the real world. So let's look at reproduction, because to reproduce a song, you need sheet music and tablature or sound recording. But the only one that generates massive wealth is the sound recording, which flows through the mechanical royalties and sync licenses. But hear me out, we got a few more to go. So let's look at derivative works. To make money here, someone has to rearrange, cover, or sample the song. The big money lives in the covers and samples, both of which require a new sound recording. And then there's the good old public performance that most of you all know. A song must be played live or broadcast. And the vast majority of this money comes from sound recordings being played on the radio, in clubs, or on playlists. Now, there's also distribution, but in publishing, this is mostly sheet music. In a digital age, this is a tiny fraction of the pie. But then there's public display, and this is lyrics on streaming services or in album books or even on t-shirts, but it flows directly through lyric licensing or direct licensing. But again, nobody is looking at the lyrics if there isn't a sound recording to listen to, and nobody's buying a t-shirt with the lyrics on it if the fan base isn't strong or if the song just ain't big enough. Without the recorded music industry, the publishing industry is virtually useless in the modern era. So here is the math they don't want you to do. The publishing industry takes 10 cents and multiplies it by 10 to get $1. The recorded music industry takes $1 and multiplies it by 10 to get $10, right? So this is why songwriters are getting priced out of the game. It's because they are playing for the 10-cent multiplier while the labels are playing for the $10 multiplier. Simply because to enjoy a song, it really needs to be in that recorded, tangible form for the masses to consume it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's also why the recorded music industry is roughly a $30 to $32 billion industry, and the music publishing is roughly a $7 billion industry globally. You know what I mean? So to master the publishing game, you have to play for volume and exploitation. And since you are dealing with smaller margins, which are the cents, the only way the math makes sense is to force your composition into as many sound recordings as possible. You have to start waiting for one hit and start creating an army of assets. We need assets. We need a bunch of song assets here. But if you don't understand that your publishing is a slave to the master recording, then you will spend your whole career wondering why your hit song isn't buying you a house while the label head is actually buying a yacht. See what I'm saying? It's a difference in the industry. But if you learn to trigger those royalties across multiple versions and platforms and uses simultaneously, then you can stack those cents up until they outperform the masters or get close to it. You know what I mean? So let's prioritize the master here and ensure your composition is attached to a high quality sound recording immediately. I think all of us are really going to do this. A song without a master is really just an idea. You know this. Then we're going to focus on mechanical. So we want to maximize the reproduction by getting your song on as many platforms and in as many versions as possible. And then we're also going to tap into that direct licensing. So don't just wait for the PROs, BMI and ASCAP and all that. Go after direct uses and sync deals where the cherries on top are bigger, much bigger. Now, let's get into this multiple version thing I mentioned. This is the loophole to the publishing industry. This is really how it works. So the key to massive publishing wealth isn't writing 1,000 songs. It's licensing the use of your existing compositions as many times as humanly possible. In this game, multiple versions equals multiple paydays. This is the secret to having the confidence to compete with major catalogs without needing a 100-person writing team. Okay. Now, most creators have a mental block. They think that once the song is finished and released, the work is over. They can move on to the next song immediately. And the industry loves this. Why is that? Because while you're still struggling to write your next hit, the seasoned publisher is taking your last song and turning it into a master template for, I mean, a good about 20 records if they can, but they don't want you to know about the multiple versions because of arbitrage, which is the simultaneous buying and selling of songs in different markets or in derivative forms in order to take advantage of deferring prices for the same exact asset, which is the song. So if you view your song as a single event or a single asset, then you sell the rights for the price of a single asset. But if you know that one composition can be turned into a jazz cover, a lo-fi remix, a sped up version, a TikTok version, a Spanish ballad, all of that, they are essentially buying a skyscraper for the price of a studio apartment. And they are banking on your creative ego and stopping you from seeing your song as a reusable product. They want to grab those rights so early so that they can collect the rent on every new version created, because they know that if it's good enough or they're savvy enough to do it, they're going to do it. And this is why you hear a different song version in Chipotle versus a different song version in a grocery store, and things that are tailored for, clothing stores and all types of uses, and covers for television and film and commercials and all of this stuff. Like, hey, that sounds like that song. It does, but it's not quite, or it is, but it's different. They know this is how they're going to make money. So you need to adopt the squeeze the juice strategy here. You expand your catalog 10 times faster by creating multiple versions and cover usages than you could ever by writing thousands of new songs. And if you release a song for your project, that is just the beginning. You can license that same melody and lyric to a country artist or a synthwave producer or a film composer. One song, 12 revenue streams. You get what I'm saying? I think you're getting it now. But if you remain selfish with your songs, you are leaving 90% of your money on the table for the labels to scavenge or the publishers to scavenge. You'll be the king of a graveyard, owning songs that nobody is using. So once you're done using it, repackage that thing up, sell it to somebody. It's still on your album. You still own the publishing, and that's the name of the game. So if you treat your song as a public utility, the possibilities are endless. You can build a massive high earning catalog with just 10 strong compositions. I'm telling you, sometimes it's just the right application. You might be in R&B, but it really needs to be pop or really needs to be country. So let's look at the derivatives here. For every song you finish, immediately create an alternate version that can be pitched to other artists. Just try it out. We're in the age of AI. We can do this. Then actively shop your finished compositions to artists in completely different genres to trigger new mechanicals. And then cross-pollinate here. Partner with remixers and create new masters that keep the publishing performance pipeline flowing. You know what I mean? So now we've covered the engine and why you need multiple versions, but this next part is where most of you guys will lose out, which is what you need to do it right. So stay with me. And side note, if you need a strong business foundation to run the publishing wing of your record label on, or if you are a writer who needs to build a publishing company, grab my 60-day record label system, complete with step-by-step instructions to build it correctly from the ground up today. All right, so now I'm going to call this the publisher's toolkit, because the final hurdle isn't 100% your talent. It's actually the infrastructure. And to scale a publishing catalog, you need a system to manage your assets, your song assets, and a strategy to deploy them. So you have two choices. You can build the machine yourself, which is DIY, or rent someone else's machine, which is the deal. But if you don't build your own toolkit first, then you'll be forced to sign a deal too early, and that's when you lose your leverage. Most artists think a publisher's skill is some magic connection to Hollywood or the Grammys, and it's not. The primary skill is organization and some networking too. But the industry banks on you being messy, especially if they can swoop in and get it right for you and they'll charge you a fee for it. But if your metadata is wrong, your splits aren't signed, and your instrumentals are lost in a random Google Drive folder, you are invisible to the money. In fact, you're actually running from the money. So the publishing companies wait for you to get overwhelmed by the paperwork so they can swoop in and offer an administration or a co-publishing deal or even a collection deal. And they aren't offering you a partnership. They're offering to organize your mess in exchange for your equity. And they want you to think that you can't do it yourself in the beginning. So you'll end up settling for a $50,000 advance while they build a $500,000 business off of your back. Okay, in today's day and age, most of the networking is going to really be on your behalf. So the solution here is the DIY infrastructure, and you must build your own in-house publishing department before you even think about signing a deal. This is the grueling part, yes, but it's how you keep your 100%. Yes, you got to do work. No, it's not going to be easy. So let's talk about cataloging. Use professional tools like Disco.ac to manage your metadata, your lyrics, and your stems. This isn't just storage, it's a searchable database that allows you to respond to a music supervisor in 30 seconds or pitch songs to artists, other publishers, managers, and even DJs. Disco.ac is going to be the nucleus of your DIY operation. And you don't need a middleman to talk to sync agents. You can do the outreach yourself. You don't need them to talk to music supervisors or other artist managers. You need a clean pitch and a link that works. And then you need some partnerships. Once your DIY machine is running and you have significant international traction, then you look at a collection deal like Cosign, or if you want to go the Songtrust route, you can, or an admin deal, a good one. At that point, you aren't asking them to save you. You're hiring them to pick up the slack you're too busy to handle. And if you need information on how to discern when is the right time to get a deal like Cosign or Songtrust, watch this Songtrust video right here. Please, I beg of you, do not sign this thing in the very, very beginning. It's not going to be of grave benefit to you. Now, if you don't build this DIY foundation, you will eventually sign a desperation deal and you'll give away 25 to 50% of your life's work just because you didn't want to learn how to manage a spreadsheet or a disco link. And these types of deals lock you in with the publisher, and it doesn't end up well for the writer that can't keep up with the deal or the terms of it. But if you build your own infrastructure first, you hold all the cards. And when a publisher finally comes to the table, you aren't negotiating for help, you're negotiating from a position of power because your machine is already making money. And that's what you want. And even, let me say this, even then after the deal is over, you still have to maintain your infrastructure. That's the thing that people don't know about the publishing industry. A lot of that work is going to come from you. So professionalize your assets, move your music out of your Dropbox and into a dedicated catalog tool like Disco.ac with full metadata. No, this is not a sponsored video by Disco, but if I see something that's good in the industry, I'm gonna let you know about it. Then there's the active outreach schedule that you gotta have. Dedicate 5 hours a week to direct networking with supervisors and managers and cut out the middleman. And then set a deal threshold for yourself and only sign an expansion deal when your manual DIY workload exceeds your ability to create new music. So here's your challenge. Write down your asset inventory. List out your top 5 compositions. Next to each one, write down if you have an instrumental, a TV track, and a clean version ready to ship. If you don't have a product yet, you have a project. Then I want you to ask yourself, if this song was a piece of real estate, am I renting it to one person, me, or did I build a 12-unit apartment complex? If you only have one version on Spotify, you're leaving 11 checks on the table. Then I want you to perform an admin audit. So look at your list. If your metadata is missing or your splits aren't finalized, then you are essentially telling the industry to keep your money. Fix one registration today and then fix another tomorrow and watch how the money starts slowly rolling in. But the goal is to truly understand how the music publishing industry works and what it takes to operate in this industry. The real question isn't should you do this, it's how much longer can you afford not to do it if you want to survive in this side of the industry. Now, if you need help with devising a publishing strategy, book a call with me or join our group strategy calls every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time inside the Music Money Makers community. You can click below to join right now today. But if you think you aren't big enough for multiple versions to matter yet, all you have to do is look at the math. You don't need a massive catalog, you need a deep one. So we need multiple chances at bat. And if you think the DIY process is too grueling to handle, all you have to do is get organized on the first one, and you'll see that the process is only grueling when you're messy. So once your assets are professionalized, the system does the heavy lifting for you. And if you think that you'll mess up the royalty streams, understand we're only focusing on 2 main pipelines, performance and reproduction, which is the mechanicals. Don't let the industry's complexity scare you out of your own royalties. Please don't do that. Don't be like, oh, it's 100 different royalty streams. No. I'm a publisher. I know what it is. And it's not just for myself. I'm a publisher for others. It's how I got this stuff here. You know what I mean? So if you were struggling with what music publishing is, how to actually play the game, or what to play the game with, you now have the means to become the boss of your own publishing empire that you've always wanted to be. Music Money Makers. If you make music, you should always make money. Log on to musicmoneymakeover.com, grab the 60-day record label system, book a call, join the Music Money Makers community, grab the free stuff below, and watch this next video right over here to save your career and I'll see you next time. Peace.